It's an exhibit that won't make you happy, but it will make you think. Here you'll learn about the White House being captured and burned by the British in 1814. American anarchists sending 36 bombs to politicians in 1919, and threats that surround us today.
We feel insulated, and so we think that the things that can harm us are outside of us, and so we don't really think about things here hurting us.
Much of our history isn't pretty, like the images of the Ku Klux Klan. Robes for men, women, and children are on display. Here you'll learn of their numbers and evidence of their close ties to some politicians and law enforcement in the 1950s. This red robe was worn by the Klan-clad, who presided over secret rituals and ceremonies.
Rodney, explain these kiosks for me.
Well, at the end of every exhibit area, there's a kiosk that asks a question that relates to what you just learned. This one's asking whether or not there should be a law which bans hate groups, such as the Ku Klux Klan. And so what you can do is you can see how people in a different era would have answered that question. You can see 56% said yes, and then you can see the people who've seen this exhibit, and remarkably, it's the same.
Wow, that just goes to prove our opinions haven't really changed much in 65 years.
Yeah, and that really is one of the neat parts of this exhibit, is you can see how opinions have changed or haven't changed over the course of time.
The exhibit illustrates the challenge of securing our nation against internal threats without compromising civil liberties. The Red Scare section examines the fear of communism in America.
After World War II, the FBI started to collect files on people they suspected of having communist ties, people from all walks of life. First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, ball player Jackie Robinson, actress Marilyn Monroe, artist Pablo Picasso.
In 1939, the Communist Party USA had about 50,000 members. Propaganda films were made to discourage people from joining. Some of the events showcased here may surprise you, like what happened after the pilot of this destroyed Japanese plane bombed Pearl Harbor.
Crash landed on one of the smaller Hawaiian islands, survived the landing, and then carried out attacks on that island. And again, never hear about that stuff, but that really contributed to the anti-Japanese American sentiment and led to internment of Japanese Americans on the West Coast. And that's a lesson, again, that we really need to make sure that we learn and we don't repeat.
This exhibit explores all types of terrorism, even the type that's homegrown. How much do you really know about what's going on in your neighbor's basement?
Newspaper headlines and a rescue worker's helmet from the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995 are grim reminders that there are dangerous people among us. These portraits of men who look nice enough have all been identified as extremists, separatists, and militiamen.
These are actual pieces of the planes that hit the Twin Towers on September 11, 2001. It's just another example in this exhibit of how extremist actions can change the course of history and our everyday lives.
Having different generations learn from these events is one way to ensure history doesn't repeat itself.
Your average teenager, of course, born around 1990s, thereabouts. And so everything before that, the Vietnam War protests, civil rights movement, the Red Scare in the 50s, that's all their parents' past, and going further back, their grandparents' past. And so we're hoping that, one, they learn about it, but two, they can engage with their families and talk about it, because their parents and grandparents lived through a lot of these things. And if we can get that kind of dialogue going, then I think we've really done a good job.